is a membership-only event for Chamber leaders to hear from those wishing to represent us. It is not a political event, and therefore we are going to ask that you refrain from taking videos and phones, and this includes using your cell phone, of the forum. We ask that you respect our effort to provide an atmosphere that allows civil discourse on issues and not gotcha politics. The Chamber will be taping the forum to share with those members unable to join us at today's meeting, and it will be aired on our YouTube channel. In addition, the Federal Way Mirror is covering the event. Candidates will have an opening statement of 1 minute each, and 1 minute is allotted for candidates to answer each question. The forum is not a debate, but rather an opportunity for candidates to share their positions on questions that are important to the business community. As such, there will be no need for rebuttal. We ask the candidates to refrain from political rhetoric that casts aspersions on their opponent. As the business community, we are interested in your positions as policymakers in our local government and not in campaign politics. So thank you in advance. I think that's worth some clapping too, so thank you. Thank you in advance for your commitment to civil public discourse. There is a benefit to Chamber membership, and every effort has been made to keep this event on a level playing field for our business community. Believe me when I tell you that has been no easy task this year, but we are committed to make it so to the best of our ability. Questions for today's forum are based on input from our members, from our Government Affairs Committee and the Board of Directors. Ambassador Cindy Dusich will be our timekeeper, and she will assist us in keeping to schedule. She will flag the candidates at the 30 and 15-second marks. Forum questions will be followed by the ever-popular lightning round. Today, we are pleased to welcome our candidate forum moderator, Gina Lee Desforet. How close? Yes! She is the Deputy Director at Hanfield Challenge, a nonprofit watchdog and advocacy organization for the Hanfield nuclear site cleanup. She is passionate about nonpartisan collaboration and civic engagement. She serves on the board of directors for the Municipal League Foundation, where she previously worked as its deputy director. Gina is also a founding board member for the Community Health Worker Coalition for Migrants and Refugees. She spends her free time figure skating, skydiving, exploring new cultures through cooking and traveling. She is also joined today, if you will allow me, the new director of the Municipal League, Lana, did Princess Wave. Please take a moment afterwards to say hello to them. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gina to the podium. Annyeonghaseyo.
Thanks, Becca. It's great to be here again for the third year in a row. I would like to invite each candidate up now. So running for Council Position 3, please come up to the podium, or stage, I guess. Susan Honda and Sherry Edwards. And then running for Council Position 5 is Mark Kopang and Jamila Taylor. Jamila? Yeah. And for Council Position 7, Linda Kochmar and Tony Poliaco. Let's get them set. Okay, so each candidate will now have a 1-minute opening statement, and I will call you one by one. And let's start with candidate Edwards.
Thank you. Is this working? Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chamber, and thank you, Red Canoe. Thank you for this event today. I'm Sherry Edwards, and I've been raised my children here. I'm a mother of 3. I'm a nurse in the community, and I teach for Highline Community College nursing students, high school students from all 5 of our high schools this last year. I've also was working the last year volunteering on the Mayor's Task Force for Homelessness, and had the opportunity to come out and meet many of you and hear your stories about what was happening and what's been happening in the last 2 years, the changes that we've seen in the last 2 years, in addition to, and I put that in a report. Actually, it's over there on the table if anybody's interested in listening to it. But I feel that one of the reasons that I'm running is because I got a strong feeling that we might be sending the wrong messages to our children, and that safety is a real concern of yours in the business community and our neighborhoods. So thank you. My time's up.
Thank you. And now for candidate Susan Honda.
Thank you. Is this on? No? Yes? Okay. Yes. All right. So now you can start the time, Cindy. So I want to let you know I'm grateful to be here and thank you for doing this today. And I love Federal Way. Bruce and I chose to build our home here. We chose to raise our children here and have them attend Federal Way Public Schools. And we chose to work and volunteer here in Federal Way. And 8 years ago, the citizens chose me to serve on the City Council. I've heard your frustrations with the direction that the city's taken. I've heard your frustrations with transparency, with economic development, with public safety, with the drug issue, with homelessness. And as a deputy mayor, my vision for Federal Way is that we have a safe Federal Way. We have a Federal Way where people come here to work and not leave to work. We have a Federal Way where our businesses are full and our retail is full, which is pretty full right now. I have experience. I am on the King County Board of Health. I serve on the Federal Way Domestic Task Force and the Sound County Area Transportation Board. I'm looking forward to more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up, we have candidate Mark Kopang.
Hi, everybody. Is this on? Oh, good. I have been honored to serve the city of Federal Way for the last 4 years, and it's been an immense pleasure for me. I have found the opportunities to learn more about the community to be very stimulating, and to really gain a better understanding of where we are as a city and develop a plan for how we move forward. And I'm excited about our future. I'm excited about what the seeds that we're planting now to create a downtown core, to build better partnerships within the region, and to move forward, I think optimistically, addressing the issues that we have, and we do have issues, but addressing them in a way that actually points towards solutions as opposed to pointing toward the problems. I'm an optimist. I've been an optimist. I believe in our city, and I believe in you, and the business community, and the value that you can bring to us. So thank you.
Thank you. And next we have candidate Jamila Taylor.
Greetings, everyone. Yes, my name is Jamila Taylor. I am a daughter, a sister, and I live in a household where I am helping to take care of my mother and my brother who are living with chronic illnesses. And I chose Federal Way because of the amenities that are here. And I believe Federal Way should remain a community that is safe and affordable for all. I want Federal Way to continue to be a place where folks are interested in living, working, playing, shopping, volunteering, and worshiping here. And it's a place that there's so many opportunities, and we can work together on solutions. I have 20 years of community-driven leadership experience and experience with fiscal oversight, in establishing public-private partnerships, working on community engagement and outreach. So I have the ability to bring the voices to the table for those tangible solutions.
Thank you. And candidate Linda Kochmar.
Thank you. I love our city. I'm concerned about what's going on in our city, as I know many of you are. I was very fortunate to be on the city council for a number of years. I was voted by my colleagues to be deputy mayor twice and then as mayor. I was selected by the voters of the Federal Mayor, voted best city leader twice. I was elected by council members, 39 city council members in the King County area, to be chair of the Public Issues Committee. I went on to become state representative. I brought back over $200 million in improvements for our city, including $4 million for the building you're sitting in right now. I am very concerned about where we're going next. I'm worried about crime, traffic congestion, worried about, I'm talking to a lot of you about what's going on with your businesses. You certainly don't want homeless sitting in front of your business. You need to have the police show up when they are called. I have a lot of experience in government to offer you, including multi-million-dollar budgets. I intend to do the best I can. I appreciate your vote. Again, Linda Coachmark, Federway City Council, Position 7.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have candidate Tony Pagliacco.
Had it right the first time. So I could spend my 60 seconds talking about my experience, my education, my 20-year technology career, but I really want to tell you about the story about why I'm running, and that's because six years ago my daughter was hit by a car walking home from school. She was a senior, and the accident was caused her paralysis from the waist down. It was a car driven by an opioid addict, snapped her spinal cord in half, and that brought us to Federal Way. Federal Way gave us a second chance on life, a new beginning. And as we've lived here, we've seen the beauty of this city. We've been able to see the potential this city has. And that's part of what I want to focus on, is helping to make sure that we have a safe community that provides opportunity for everyone, but looking at it using a different perspective, using technology to help us influence the decisions, helping you being able to utilize collaboration and working together as a city, not just in individual silos. The only way for us to move forward as a city is for us to keep a strong focus on public safety. That's what brings business, and that's what brings in more residents. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Pagliacco with a silent G. Okay, so I have 4 open-ended questions for you all now, and I'm going to take turns with who goes first. And so the first, and then please let me know if I need to repeat any questions. So first question is, the vision statement contained in the February 18, 2019 City Strategic Planning Report reads, Federal Way will be the most inclusive, responsive, and safe city in the region. What is the most significant contribution you will make to that vision if elected? And let's start with candidate Kopang.
I think that's a great vision. And I think in order to get anywhere, you have to put a vision out there. When I look at what we can do as a council and what I can do specifically, public safety has got to be the #1 thing. And I would like to see us continue to add officers, and in adding officers really create that sense of safety that we're keeping up with the growth that our city is experiencing. That growth has brought diversity as well. And I think for us to make sure that we have a community that continues to be welcoming and is inclusive is essential for our future. I was at an event this last Sunday called We Love Our City, and I think service is one of those things that can bring people together. That creates the bonds that I think our community really needs. I'll continue to promote those kind of activities, but also continue to look at and listen to the community and understand. One of the things, that's time, thank you.
Thank you. And let's move on to candidate Taylor.
My experience is rooted in building collaborations, engaging the community, and finding ways for voices, especially voices that have not been heard, to be brought to the table and to participate in the process. That's how you become inclusive. So when folks feel that they are invested in and heard by our leadership, they will participate in the solutions that we want to see for our community. It takes someone who's willing to hear differences of opinions, hear experiences that are unlike their own, and to be comfortable with the critiques of the job you're doing, and to take in that information and make some reflective changes that help support opportunities for the community to stay at the table. I want to continue to do that.
Thank you. And let's go with candidate Honda.
Thank you. So the vision statement was something we worked really hard on, and the most important part of that vision statement is the one that talks about safety. Because if you don't feel safe in your community, you don't have inclusiveness and you don't have responsiveness. So to feel safe, we do need to add more police officers, but we also need to add other staff, such as our IT department, which supports our police department. To be inclusive, our community is very diverse, and we have held different events around the city to help people feel inclusive, feel included. We have things at our community center to include the community and include all members of the community. This is a very diverse community, and we are very lucky to live in a diverse community and have the ability to meet other people and learn other things from people. And we need to be responsive, especially when people need help, and call 911.
Thank you. And Candidate Edwards?
Thank you. We do, number one, the most important thing I hear from people at the doors and from businesses and homeowners and residents and students is that they want to feel safe, and they want to feel safe shopping in the store. They want to see the police staffed so that they can respond to when they call for help. Businesses don't want to continue to lose money in retail situations because we don't have a good, strong police force out there. So what I hear over and over from people is that they want to feel safe. They want to trust their leaders. They want to know that the people that you elect have their best interest at hand. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Poliaco?
Can you repeat the question real quick?
Sure. The vision statement in the February 18th, 2019 City Strategic Planning Report reads, Federal Way will be the most inclusive, responsive, and safe city in the region. What is the most significant contribution that you will make to the vision if elected?
So we've all talked a lot about public safety, about policing, and how important that is, and we've known that. We've known that for a long time, okay? What I feel I can contribute to make these things a reality, though, is my ability to collaborate, my ability to look at things in an iterative format. Using my career in technology, I've worked at Boeing right now in data science, and I've worked at Hasbro in mobile esports. We were building products that serve 30 million players. And our goal was to give the best user experience for those players when they play our games. That's the exact same thing that we need to look at here in the city, is we need to deliver the best user experience to our businesses, we need to deliver it to our residents, and in my opinion, public safety is the direction we need to go because the numbers don't lie. Coming from a data background, I thrive on data-driven decisions and models. And if you look at the other cities of similar population across the country, our numbers are too low for what we have, and our city is continuing to grow. So we need to keep this in mind and be very cognizant of that fact as we move forward, because if not, we're going to keep backing ourselves into a corner. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Kochmar.
Thank you. We're a very inclusive city. We've been that way for a long time. We need to work on that a little more, but I'd like to congratulate our city on wonderful diversity commission that we have. We speak over 110 different dialects in our schools. The schools have also been very good about working on diversity. And why is that important? That's because we are a global economy. That's important to you for your businesses. Being responsive, being inclusive. I have an adopted son from Korea. Certainly very in tune with being inclusive, responsive to your businesses. I've talked to a lot of you with your business. Chris Levitt doesn't want to have a pot shop next to his business. God bless David St. John. He just wants people to come in and get a haircut. Kabul Gill at East India Grill just wants people on the council who care. So that's being responsive. Public safety, I'd like to start a navigation team with our police where we have community services, human services, go out and talk to the homeless that need help. Thank you.
Thank you. So next question. Federal Way has a strong mayor and city council organizational structure. Would you propose a different structure? Why or why not? And let's start with Candidate Edwards.
I know that it took a lot of work to get to this system, and I think that we should be able to elect our mayor. I think that I would not change the system. I think it's a good system. I don't see anything that's not working about it. I think our citizens should be able to elect their leaders, and that's about all I can say on that. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Honda?
Thank you. So Chuck, well, what I would say is I like the Tacoma form of government. There's an elected mayor, there's a city manager, and there's an elected city council. The reason I like that form of government is because we need someone to run the day-to-day operations of a city. A city is a business. And anyone who has lived in Federal Way for 12 months consecutively, who's a registered voter, can run for mayor. That doesn't mean that you know how to run a city. And we have a city with over 300 employees. We're a very large city. We have a lot of businesses. We need someone who has the experience and the knowledge that a city manager would bring. And so Tacoma, you elect your mayor, you elect your city council, but you have a trained city manager who does the day-to-day operations. And that's what I would like to see here in Federal Way.
Thank you. And candidate Kochmar?
Well, thank you. Thank you. We discussed this issue extensively when we were becoming a city. I was on the incorporation committee. We chose the city manager form of government simply because of the idea of continuity. You can get yourself elected. Any of us can be elected. That doesn't mean that we could be the mayor. So what we need is an ongoing continuity with either a city administrator or a city manager. We chose the city manager form of government. Deputy Mayor Honda is talking about a hybrid form of government, which is an elected mayor as well as a city manager. I like the hybrid system. I think that this is something we should talk about in our community and have another discussion on this issue. Because what we need is 7 council members who work together, who are working with a city administrator at the very least, and then be as responsive to you as possible, but also watching the budget deficit. That's a big thing. And knowing all of the regulations, RCWs. I was in the state. I know how many regulations there are. There's huge. I'd like to have that discussion again. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Poliaco?
So in my opinion, I think it's important to recognize that the city council works for you. And so I think asking what our personal opinion is on the strong mayor or not strong mayor, I think my opinion revolves around what do the people that I would represent want to see? How can we make that happen? What can we look at for the pros and cons of having a strong mayor system or not? Now, in the big picture of things, Federal Way is still relatively young, and we have not had a long time to be able to see how this model plays out over time. You can iterate and you can make changes and revisions to a process as you go along. You're not married to one set model, but you need to give it time to mature and understand, because in the big picture compared to everywhere else, like I said, Federal Way in my eyes is like a startup company that is becoming bigger and now growing into its own shell, into its own outfit. And for us to do that, we need to just have a lot of community input, and we need to get rid of the apathy. We need to get people excited to get involved, and we need to do that by leading by example. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Taylor?
I don't have an answer to the question specifically as what I want right now. I would want to explore it further, but what I would want to know is whether it would increase our capacity to attract businesses into this community, whatever structure that we particularly go with. How do we attract more residents to the community that are invested in our schools? How do we attract more opportunities for our young people to participate in the process of our city leadership? This system, if our mayor has more capacity to be out there in the community to support what our needs are and be responsive, as well as our city council being out in the community by going to a hybrid system, I would favor that. And I think we need to explore options that would increase the capacity of our electeds and our staff to do more for the community with the limited resources that we have.
Thank you. And candidate Kopang?
I lived in the city at the time that vote was taken, and I voted for the strong mayor government, form of government. And the reason I did, the argument that resonated with me was accountability. When you have 7 council members say, well, you gotta talk to the administrator. It's like, you can shift the ball. The administrator, in my mind, can be unaccountable because he's working for the council. He's not necessarily working for the people of Federal Way. I think electing a strong mayor has provided the citizens of Federal Way with a direct connection to the leader of the Federal Way government. That has diminished in a sense the role of the council, in that now we are certainly still a body of 7, but our role has changed because of the form of government. But I'm a strong believer that we need accountability, and if you don't like the mayor, you can recall him or you can re-elect him. That's okay. We have that control. So I think changing governments, we need to make sure that we just stay the course on this for the time being anyway.
Thank you. Next question. Businesses continue to experience challenges with city zoning and permitting. As policymakers for the City of Federal Way, how would you work to reduce the challenges faced by businesses related to zoning and permitting? And let's start with candidate Edwards.
Thank you. I have heard this story for the last few years, and so I started to talk to people, and I had one very interesting experience at a door where a man told us that he wanted to open a business here, but he was so frustrated with our process that he ended up going into Auburn, and he was upset about that. What we found out was that he didn't really take that up the ladder. He didn't explain that to anyone. And I thought to myself, just imagine how many businesses we lose because we don't know. And so I started to talk to other investors, and they told me what the problem was, is that in their opinion is that where our system is outdated, that there's only one worse than ours, and that's Issaquah, and that wasn't a compliment, that things can take. And I got feedback from about 3 people that had firsthand experience that said, I said, explain this to me. What can I do? What's wrong? And they said that there's a complicated system that could be simplified, and it could be updated with a better computer system. So I'm there to support that. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Honda?
Thank you. So we are, as a city, instituting a computer program where you don't have to bring your plans into the city. We're getting into the new technology that other cities are already doing. You can do everything online and then come into the city as needed. I have heard the horror stories too. I've helped some businesses who have had issues with permitting. I've gone to their business, I've helped them. I've gone to the mayor, I've gone to our director of community development, and have worked through some issues with some businesses. But we are going to improve. We have to improve, because our reputation depends on it. We need businesses to come here. We don't want them to be afraid to come here. They need to be able to get their business up and running in a very reasonable amount of time. And if we don't fix something, that's not going to happen. So we are working on it, and it should happen fairly soon, sometime this year.
Thank you. And candidate Kopang?
Permitting is one of the favorite things of any business, right? It really isn't. And you know what? It does present challenges. I don't know, JP's Tavern recently went through the process, and the Federal Way actually did a report on that. And one of the things they said that they volunteered was that our permitting process is very straightforward, and they were able to work through it easily. So there are good stories too. But I don't hang my hat on the good story and move on. I listen to everybody. And it is an acknowledged fact that we need to improve our permitting process. But we have a great staff that really is working hard to create a good customer service experience. And I'm proud of the efforts that they've made. I was in Brian Davis's office, and on the board they've got a list of all the processes they're looking at, and they're going through what's called a Kaizen process, where they're looking at how can we streamline and improve our process. So it's an ongoing effort, but we're looking forward to continue the effort.
Thank you. And candidate Taylor?
Yes, permitting is a challenge in our particular community, and it's not something that's unique to Federal Way. It's a challenge that's been out there for many communities. As an attorney, I want to look at the issue as clearly and carefully as possible and bring the acumen to the table to help our city find ways to improve the system. It might mean that we need to make some recommendations to our land use and zoning laws, that we have to amend our permitting processes, and of course the ongoing feedback that we get from the business community and those who are potential business owners in this community. Like, how do we get the feedback from folks who are interested in moving here, but they're not involved in the local chamber, or they're not involved in other systems that would be a natural connection to giving us that feedback. So let's make sure that we're hearing ways that it's responsive to the potential customers or potential owners, and make some recommendations.
Thank you. And candidate Kochmar?
Thank you. This is certainly not a new issue for the city, and I'll deferment to our current council. We did have this problem in the past, and I believe it has to do with empowering the individual. My dad's era would have said, make a decision by the seat of your pants. In other words, don't kick it up the command. If you can make a decision, just make it. I helped a business that had to build a fence. He was told he had to build a fence around his retention pond, and then he was told he had to put privacy slats in that fence, cyclone fence. Not only did he not, I helped him, not only did he not need the privacy slats, he didn't need the fence at all. So one of the things that we need to talk about is how to hire more people, and that goes back to making sure that we take care of our budget deficit, and then empowering the individual to make a decision, just not kick it up because you're afraid to make a decision. And zoning, I would like to look at zoning to attract more business to Federal Way. One of the things we've heard repeatedly is we need a Kent Station. Repeatedly, we need better retail. Worried about the commons, it's going down. So anyway, thank you for listening to me, and I will do my best to help you.
Thank you. And candidate Poliaco?
So I'm going to need your help for a second. If you have a mobile phone, can you hold it up for a second? Just hold up your phone. This is exactly what I'm talking about, is that this is where we live now, is we live on our phones. We need to move to a platform for our permitting, for our zoning, that works with our partners in Seattle, Amazon, Google, and being able to use that technology to be able to drive more efficient process throughout the city. By looking to the future, we have to look at a smart city model where we're going to have interconnected services that are going to be working with our traffic, with our zoning, with our service tickets, with our permitting, all of these things. They're doing these things. Cities with less revenue than us are doing this currently. There are program software as a service platforms called like CityGrows. It does zoning, it does permitting, it does ticketing, it does scheduling. $15,000 a year. I would gamble on that to try that for a year and see how that works out in a hybrid model in the office. I mean, we can talk about making decisions by the seat of our pants. I'd rather make them from the palm of my hand. I think that would be much better for us and much better for the business owners as well.
Thank you. And we're at the last open-ended question. As an elected official, you will be representing the business community. Which initiatives of the Greater Federal Way Chamber are of special interest to you, and why? And please be specific. Candidate Poliaco.
I think when we look down all the candidates, we all agree as a community what we're looking for. We all want a safe city, a vibrant community full of opportunity. How we get there is where we all disagree, and that's where we all start finger pointing at each other, and that's when we have a breakdown. In terms of initiatives, I really think that the public safety aspect is going to be most vital to accomplish any initiative in this city. When you look at new families that move into a city, new businesses that move into a city, the first thing that they look at is crime data and school data. And if you look at cities across the US, if you find me a city that's very high in crime, tell me the last time Google opened an office there. It hasn't happened. The reason why is because the businesses don't feel safe there, and that's why we need to look at this from the perspective of, by increasing public safety, we increase confidence in the city, we increase our reputation across the county, and then we become attractive to future growth in the business area.
Thank you. Candidate Kochmar?
Well, thank you very much. I don't believe we disagree at all. I think we're all on the same page. It's part of the problem that we have is one of your second most important initiative is permitting. We've talked about that, but I would like to see somebody on staff that would help the small business owner, 1 to 3 people business, have somebody walk them through the process, actually physically walk them through the process, because not everybody is adept at using technology. The other issue is the crime issue, public safety. I've talked to so many business owners. Jim Ross doesn't want to have, Billy McHale doesn't want to have the homeless sitting in front of his building when he goes to open his building in the morning. What we need is something like Burien has. I talked with Brian Wilson at the City of Burien, a navigation team where we go out to the homeless, offer them a place to go, have a person with the navigation team who helps walk them through the process. You can't take a drug-addicted person and say, here, call this number. They're not going to do it. You need to have somebody help walk them through the process. Public safety, crime, and permitting are two of the major issues we need to work on, and thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Taylor?
Public safety is a pivotal, important thing for our community, and we have to think about it from a longer perspective, not just from law enforcement, but from a continuum. Public safety continuum requires the involvement of community in solutions, involvement of families in solutions. We have a lot of folks in this community who don't have the capacity to engage in positive ways to keep their kids out of challenges because they're spending all their time in other communities trying to get to and from work. How do we increase business opportunities and job opportunities so families can be home by 6, so that parents can be available to take their kids to the soccer game, so that parents can take their kids to the McDonald's to support the local PTA as they're raising money for the schools? How do we keep families here, investing their money in their small dollars in small businesses to make big dollars in this big community?
Thank you. And Candidate Kopang?
We can sometimes get stuck on what we know or how things are and miss opportunities. We have what's called a comprehensive plan. And in a comprehensive plan, we have things drawn out the way we think they're going to be in the future. DaVita came to us and they said, we want to put a building here, but there's a problem. You've got a line on the map running right through where we want our property to be. Well, when I heard that, I said, how do we create a solution to address this issue so that we don't lose 1,000 jobs and the 800 jobs that are already here and the potential for more jobs to come in the future? How do we do that? We had to go through a process. We had to analyze that. But again, I think for a leader, you've got to look at situations and understand. And I think for business, I think you want leadership that's adaptive, that's open, and that wants to find solutions.
Thank you. And let me remind the candidates to answer about the initiatives of the Federal Way Chamber. Was it? Huh? Okay. And so let's go on to candidate Honda. Yes. As an elected official, you will be representing the business community. Which initiatives of the Greater Federal Way Chamber are of special interest to you and why?
Well, they're all of special interest to me because it's the chamber. Why not? Homelessness is a special interest to me. I was co-chair of the Mother and Children's Homeless Initiative. Public safety is important. Permitting is important. Everything needs to work together to make a community that works together, to make a city that works together. If our police officers are spending most of their morning shift going to businesses, taking the homeless folks off of the doors, that doesn't work. There are other things that could happen. I know that Gospel Mission in Seattle has a team that does that. They have offered to, at least to me, that they would come down and do that if we wanted them to do that. That would free up our police officers. It would make the businesses feel safer, get their employees in, get the businesses open and going for the day or the evening or the night. Permitting, we have to improve our permitting because as business owners and as business people, you need to have some certainty that you're going to get open on time.
Thank you. And candidate Edwards.
Thank you. It's difficult to pick a specific initiative because there's also so many and so many good ones. Speaking to the businesses, one of the most important things I came back with, besides concerns around panhandling, were concerns around the opioid heroin crisis and the things they're finding outside of their businesses and their heart of passion of we want to be a part of this solution. We don't want to see this happening. This is affecting our businesses. We have people going out on L&I from needle pokes. And so I've said from the very beginning, we are nationally, on a national level, dealing with the worst opioid heroin crisis in American history. And it has come to our town. So we have got to get strong on this. We've got to get together. We've got to communicate. We've got to support our police department, the chamber, all of us together. Your businesses will not do well if we don't address this for what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. And now it's time for the lightning round. Candidates, you all have a yes or no sheet of paper that you will turn to answer the question. And please hold them up high so everybody can see them. Okay, first question. The Office of the Attorney General provides open government training materials and resources to assist agencies in complying with the laws. Do you support having city department heads seek training to become better informed and help clarify provisions of the law that may prevent future disagreements? Can everybody see their answers? Yeah, okay. 2, have you ever dropped food on the floor and then picked it up and ate it? It's healthy. Okay. And 3, according to the Washington Association of Chamber Executives, 69% of chambers in our state handle tourism promotion. Would you support designating the Greater Federal Way Chamber as a tourism promotion agency for our area? 4, are you afraid of robots? And 5. Yeah. Do you support working with the Greater Federal Way Chamber as your agency partner in economic development efforts for business retention and expansion in our region? And finally, do you support maintaining the pivotal partnership with the Chamber? It should all be yes. Thank you so much. Please give a round of applause to the candidates.
Thank you, Gina. I'm going to ask that as soon as we're done, y'all come back up here because we're going to take some photos so that we can all share them. And I just want to take a minute and thanking the chamber membership, because I want you to know this year, for the first year, all of those questions came from our members. And I mean all of them, even the lightning round ones. Because they apparently have got to lighten up a little bit. Okay, I've spoken as fast as I can because we're going to try to get onto our schedule. So I want to thank the candidates for participating today. And I want to thank the candidates who are not on stage with us, but who have filled out the candidate questionnaire. You see some of those at your table. The answers for every candidate running for every open position in Federal Way will be online in the coming week. Your interest in public service is certainly one that shows us how leadership can be accomplished. Chamber ambassadors, will you please stand? I'd be remiss. They make things move a lot quicker if I'm not around. Chamber ambassadors, stand and be recognized for all that you do. On the back of your agenda is a full listing of upcoming events for the next 3 months. We've got a business roundtable on the City Center Access Project next Tuesday at the Chamber. And you'll be able to come and move in and around all of the boxes that are still there as we go through the refresh of the chamber office. Please, no judgment. Manny has been trying to get into my boxes and make me throw things away, but I won't let him. We're still, however, going to be open for business. Everyone's favorite part of the agenda, prizes. Who would like to? The mayor. The mayor. Would you like to pull the winners today? Okay. The Tote water bottle. Who donated that? Tote. Who's our winner?
Aaron Donaldson.
Oh, Aaron, you're a winner. Center Stage has 2 free tickets to the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Okay.
No pressure there.
All right. Dan Eisenman.
Dan Eisenman, 2 free tickets. Hound of. Okay, now we. Pardon? Oh, look at you were thinking about it. $50 for JP Tavern from Red Canoe. I see Dan Altmeyer. He's thinking it hard. Karma.
Tracy Oster.
Tracy Oster. Oh. Now, we do ask, because we're always trying to make our events as streamlined as we can and fit the needs of our businesses, we do ask you for your input. Please take the time to fill out a survey membership afterwards. When you get that survey, you are automatically entered to win, and I believe it's a free display table and ticket to the next lunch. Who's our winner?
He's no longer with Miami Vice, but Don Johnson.
Don Johnson. He's with Fast Signs. He's not here today. Okay. So that's cool. That's all we have today. So November is our State of Education address, sponsored by Cascade Regional Blood Works with Superintendent Dr. Tammy Campbell, and we will be back at Twin Lakes for that luncheon. In closing, I want to say on behalf of the business community, thank you for letting me be your CEO. And my door is always open to every candidate to talk about what the initiatives of the Chamber are. Business retention and expansion, business attraction, transportation infrastructure, and as we kicked off our strategic plan this year, the talent pipeline is what we'll be looking for in 2020. And as you might imagine, we've got a lot to say on those things. So feel free anytime, members, businesses, candidates, that's what we're here for. The Mirror debate is set for Wednesday, the actual debate with the Mirror, Wednesday at Twin Lakes from 6 to 8 p.m. So if you're, and that is open to the community. Okay. So we covered a lot of ground today, and I just want to say in closing that all we ever have to do, whether we're running for office, opening our business doors, getting our kids off to school, or even combing our hair, when we are looking for the way to business success, remember that all we ever have to do is... Thank you for coming. See you next month.
Thank you.